And we are live, my friend. How is it going, everybody out there? Welcome to another Wednesday live at 8 p.m. And yes, the man, the myth, the legend himself is back. Bear McQueen is back.
Man, the myth, the legend. We in the building, bro. I'm back.
He's in the building. He's back. How's your rest, man? You took a little rest last week. How'd that feel? Because I know you're always like work, 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 work. So
It was good. It was good to just kind of decompress. I don't know if I was like actually had a little bug or something too. Like after Art Basel, I got like I don't know if it was really bad allergies or what, but whatever it was, it took me some time to kind of just sit down and relax and refresh and think kind of about some of the seeds that was planted in 2023. What fruit will they bear in 2024? So I tell people, if you didn't plant no seeds in 2023, when 2024 happens, stuff not just gonna magically appear. Like you already late. Like you once 2024 hit, you should be prepping for 2025.
that warms up a cool topic we're gonna jump into. But as you guys know, on these Wednesdays, we're gonna try to bring the consistency and not only show up on time, but we're gonna have strategic conversations. So last week, I'm gonna just fill Baron in because he was on his well-deserved break. I decided to do a solo podcast, kind of live transmission, holding myself accountable to these lives. Showed up a little bit late, but we got there. But I was doing it solo. It's the hardest thing to do when you're by yourself because you're not having that conversation.
Yeah.
And I obviously sent it to you afterwards so you could check it out and give me any feedback, obviously. But I feel like having that good mental state conversation in the beginning of these lives is a good added value. So you guys are gonna hear some of those conversations from us. From me, as you heard last week, I'm gonna start sharing more tips and tricks, techniques, theory around podcasting, storytelling, how to better communicate your story. And then Baron, he's going to dive even deeper into the public relations space. There's a lot of cool stuff that he's working on for 2024. So that's what you have to look out for in these lives. I'm going to give it to you early. So anyone catching it now, you know what to expect in the rest of the video. We hope you hang out and watch. But today we're going to talk a little bit about uh, why do people shy away from the things they're good at. We're gonna talk a little bit about how to make money on in a podcast. If you want to start a podcast, how do you make money? And then should you start a nonprofit if you're an entrepreneur? Different conversation than maybe what you've been hearing online, but today's gonna be a doozy. So stick around. This is
A
what we're doing.
doozy.
A
Wow.
doozy. So let's jump right into it. B, what do you feel? Speaking about what you just spoke about, the fact that people try to shy away from the things that they're really good at. And I feel like what happens is it goes back into the conversation around quantity that leads to quality.
Yeah.
When you go through, I feel this is my point of view. I'm gonna start us off that when you go through the quantity, you get burnt out a little bit. Uh, it's almost like you pushed. I don't know if you've ever been to the gym and like maxed out a weight and you feel
Yeah.
the burn on the muscles and you just feel like you can't go anymore and you try to push and push and then you're sore and you're just like I don't want that. That feeling sucks. It hurts.
Yeah.
But you know that that's the best like fruit that you're getting back when you're putting in that most of that work. I feel like a lot of people because of that pain they hang on to that and they're like, I want to get away from X, Y, and Z, even though I'm really good at it. Like that's
Mm.
really what comes out of their mouth. What do you think, man? What do you think about that kind of stuff?
It's
Like,
it's PTSD.
oh,
The
interesting.
problem is not. So think about this, right? I was in a window company for about 6 years. It was not hard work. The problem was I knew I was good at my job, but I felt like the company didn't appreciate how good at my job I was.
Mm.
So I think the thing that's like, yeah, I'm really good at this, right? People got PTSD because they feel undervalued where they work. Now, had they felt value where they work, then it's like, oh man, it's not really that bad going to work. I actually enjoy going to work every day because I'm very knowledgeable at this. So it's like, how can you do what does the entrepreneurship version of your job look like?
Mm.
And when I say what does the entrepreneurship version look like, what's the role at your job that you can play that's as close to what you think entrepreneurship would be, right? Are you a person that's like, look, I don't work my way up in the company. I'm not doing the grunt work no more. I'm delegating. When you can get to that point at your job that it's like, oh, it's not really entrepreneurship, but because I'm in this role, because I'm so good at what I do and I'm good at delegating and telling other people what to do, well, it's just like, okay, that's the role people in entrepreneurship want to get to. So you should be focusing on how can I get to that role within the company to see if I can even do this for my own.
Mm.
So what's the parallel of like what's the role at the company or what's the highest I can go in the company to the point that it looks like entrepreneurship, but I got a steady paycheck.
Mm.
I got flexibility.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I kind of want to do without nobody looking over my shoulder or I'm punching the clock. I really like what I'm doing. Like, what does that look like at work?
I feel like a lot of that comes from the responsibility that you take on, and a lot of people at work maybe feel like, why do I want to take on more responsibility for such little pay? Or, they look at like different things that convince them of why they should go on that road.
Yeah.
Um, but you're a person that's had so many different type of experiences, and I feel like you put in the reps in different niches, different fields.
Yeah.
Well, how was it when you were going through that process of honing down the one thing that you're really good at? Like, I feel like when we first met, we both had a lot of things that we were doing on our plate.
Yeah.
Um, I was doing stuff at the studio every single day, plus a bunch of other stuff on the side. And it just came to a point where just like focusing on the studio allowed me to see the result clearer, allowed me to focus and target a goal. How
Yeah.
did how did that journey go when you were like, yo, I gotta kind of turn down the volume on all these other side projects that I have, not to stop doing them, but how did that go for you?
Uh, it was tough actually. The reason it was tough is because all those other things paid too. So it's almost like taking a pay cut. Like as now that I'm focused on Big Reach PR, right? Nobody hears me talk about the brand castle no more. I don't talk about real estate capture. I don't talk about Paramount Design. I don't talk about Courier Correct at all. They're still around, but I'm focused on Big Reach PR. That focus cost me money, right? It's like this is the least amount of money I've made this year alone in all of my 5 years of entrepreneurship. I made the least money this year. Um, and I'm okay with that because it's like now that I'm really dedicating, this is the one out of all of them that's closest to where I'm trying to be. And this is the one that's going to get me where I want to be, to be like, you know what, this is the one that I could do from anywhere, that I could be remote, that I can, like, this is looks closer to what my end goal is. The others don't.
Mm. We just literally came off of our Big Reach PR call where we had with some new team members joining and having that conversation of what happy looks like to them. And it's funny because as we went around the circle, there were some people that were like, listen, like my job is really the happiest I've ever been. It's just these external things that make my job like not so good. Right. So I believe, not to put anyone out there, but I believe Selena was one of the ones that was like, look, I love what I do. It's just like the people, that are above me kind of leading me, you know, and causing this extra stress that I didn't need to have at doing the thing that I love the most.
Yeah.
Right. So when you talk about like get to a position in your job where it's the closest to what it would look like you doing it outside, it goes back full circle to you saying if you're really good at your 9 to 5, more than likely you're going to be a really good entrepreneur because you're starting to do the things, the time management, uh the meeting the deadlines, not procrastinating, hitting your goals. Those are all things that you're going to have to do outside when you're an entrepreneur. Like, I just put out a video. You want to be an entrepreneur thinking you're going to have more vacation days? You're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that's not it. You are going to get a fruit of your labor, but the idea is that you got to be really dedicated and passionate, almost borderline obsessed with something to be wanting to do it that many hours, right? You run with PR and branding, you could do it till you're blue in the face. I could record videos so I'm blue in the face, because these are things that we love to do, right? But how do you find that within your 9 to 5? That's where, you kind of got to go through your own journey. When you were going through your 9 to 5, what was your thought process?
Like, all right, so my thought process was, this is a very lucrative business, and the barrier to entry is your first sale, right? Well, that's the one thing people don't understand about the Hurricane Impact window business, right? The margins are amazing, right? You could start a company with your first sale, right? Because the window business, it's a 50-40-10. You pay me a 50% deposit. I'm going to use that 50% to go buy the windows, right? I'm going to really see my money once the windows arrive and we show up to install them. So now I get my 40%. This is where my profit lies, right? I'm going to hire an installation crew to put them in, and then I'm going to close the final 10 after inspections. But you're talking about, if somebody does a whole house, you're talking 30 to 50 grand. And you may walk away with 10 on your first job. So the barrier to entry is like, yo, you just got to get a sale. Go close somebody. Go walk in the neighborhood and ask them, yo, man, you ever thought about Impact Windows?
And that's looking back, but looking back to that, like, I want to hone in on that one point that you made where you're like, man, when I jumped ship from my 9 to 5 to being a full-on, full-time entrepreneur, not like a side gig, like, there was some learns you had along that journey. Right? So, like, I want the people that are going to be watching this, because I feel like our audience are those people. They're those 9 to 5s. They have side hustles. I still have my 9 to 5. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I just know how to manage my time very well, so I can do a lot of things, but there are some learns, man, that you got as you were going through that space. What were some of those things that we talked about? Like, I
got punched in the face, bro, when it came to this entrepreneurship thing. Anybody that's thinking about leaving their 9 to 5 job, do not do what I did and have 3 and 4 months worth of money saved up, right? It wasn't enough, because literally I quit my job in September, and then by January, COVID hit. So I just had it all figured out. Like, I got my marketing clients. Like, I'm starting off doing $5K a month. Now we doing $6K a month. Now I'm $10K a month, running it up for like 3 or 4 months. And then boom, COVID straight derailed all of that. But because that was all I had going on, I'm like, oh snap. How am I tell my wife? How are we going to pay the mortgage? How are we going to do all of these things? And I can't even get a close. I can't close nobody because I'm B2B. And these other B2B clients is going through the exact same thing I'm going through. And they like, Baron, we can't afford the marketing guy right now. We might not even be open. And I was just like, damn. But I refuse to go back and work for a window company. So I pivoted. And that's where real estate capture was born. People think real estate capture been like around. No, that was a pivot. That was just like I ain't got nothing else going on. I'll take some pictures of some kitchens and bathrooms. I need something that's going to keep me afloat. And it was just like, oh, okay, this works during the pandemic. Screw that marketing company. Let's focus on this right now. And I pivoted. And then as we kind of got out of the pandemic, then it was just like, all right, now I can get back to my marketing thing. People spending money again, and it's starting to roll back around. But, bro, the real estate capture was a pivot. And that's why it's important to make sure you got some different set of skills.
build up that skill set belt, right?
Bro, my tool belt deep. I can still do AutoCAD. I got a real estate license. Like I gotta set myself up. And if it all burns down, I could go do something.
Yeah, I could cut hair. I could be a barber.
You
You
see
know
what
what
I'm
I mean?
saying?
There are things that you can do. So like just to recap real quick on this mental point that we want to talk about, the mental state of mind. If you are going to go into entrepreneurship, even after we've warned you, it's not easy. Like it's going to be a hard road ahead of you. There are ways that you can soften the blow a bit, I would say, right? First and foremost, I wrote down some notes about what you were sharing, but I would say first and foremost, plan for the unexpected. Like, and what I mean by plan for the unexpected, you're not going to know exactly what's going to happen, but know that you can pivot into the skills that you've developed along the years. So whether that's you could design flyers, or maybe you just know how to start designing a flyer, but you haven't really gone through the steps of completing that circle. Don't take for granted that the fact that you can fill in the gaps by Google searching. I promise you, you can get it done. So just I would say, would you agree, right? Plan for the unexpected is one of the first things. Fail fast is one of the things that I just heard from what you were saying, right? You went into this space, you failed, you pivoted to being able to kind of recover, and then as you recovered, you were able to kind of develop or raise your nose above the water to be able to like continue through. But I think if you didn't know your numbers, you wouldn't be able to get far. Like if you planned for the unexpected and you said, okay, I have skill set, I could always like pivot to different things, and yeah, I understand I gotta fail fast. I think the very next thing is you need to know your numbers.
Yeah.
Like, and when it comes down to know your numbers, is like know what it's gonna take for you to survive. Like you know the number that you need to hit every month in order for you to still pay the rent, right? And I feel like if you know your numbers, you could start to set yourself up in a way where you're not having to live paycheck to paycheck. Let's be straight up. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck and they don't have plan Bs. They don't have a nest egg. They don't have anything saved up. And a lot of times when that happens, that's where you hit the wall, right? You get stuck and then you demotivated and then you have to go back to the environment you didn't want to be in.
Yeah.
I've been there, man. Like
Yeah.
I failed at businesses and had to go back to the 9 to 5, and it didn't feel so good because you didn't have a plan and you needed to pay bills. So I've worked at Publix. I've been a baker. I've done. You've worked at a supermarket, right? At one point,
Parcel pickup. Like,
right? Parcel pickup.
bro, people don't know I worked at a hotel as the night auditor, bro. I never even shared that with nobody.
That's a good one. I never heard that one. Tell me about that. That's good.
Bro, I was a night auditor, right? So it was just like I used to always just be up at night. And I'm like, yo, imagine if I'm just like making my money and then I could just make some money at night. The night auditor position is so cool because you don't really deal with nobody because everybody's asleep. So when you're at a hotel and you're doing the night audit, well, you just running your reports that happened all throughout the day. And by 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you done for the day. And you just waiting till 6 o'clock to put fresh coffee on for the people that's waking up to go to work. Easiest job in the world. Pays well.
You did security too, loss prevention.
Bro, I did loss prevention at Kmart. Love that job. I love watching people steal on camera and catching them at the door. The best job, bro. Right? So it's just like I think that's the part that like I think social media be capping people. Like, yo, I've had jobs, man. I swept hair at the barbershop. Like I did telemarketing. All of that, bro.
Multi-level marketing life.
No, I did telemarketing.
Oh, like calling center,
like calling, trying to sell credit cards, bro.
That's tough.
That was MBNA. But see, we made fun of it, right? Like it's like, yo, I'm tired of these people hanging up on me. They don't want our credit card. The interest rates is trash. But I sat in this little cubicle with like 4 guys that was friends of mine, and we was like, yo, how can we make coming to work fun? Like I'm tired of getting hung up on. So we would go and we turn it into a competition. between us, but we would do accents when we made our calls. So we would try these different voices out and see which voice made the most sales. Like I had a Jamaican voice I used to try to do. I had this like I thought it was European voice, like a very proper and saying all of that types. Like we just used to do it, bro. It was so much fun at work that I was excited to come to work to get with my guys and we got really good. That they moved us out of telemarketing. It's like, yo, we think you guys should move into more like an inward activation. So this time when we moved to inward activation, we wasn't calling people. People was calling us to activate their cards. So it was easier, but it's always a sale, right? So our sale and inward activation was how can we get them to transfer their balances from their other cards to this new card we're activating? What did I do? Worked my way up out of inward activations, and they like, yo, Baron, you so good on the phone. You know, we like the reward from inside the company. Like, what you think about moving to the fraud department? I'm like, oh snap! Now we like talking the big bucks. Put me in fraud. But I think any company that go in, it's just like I'm looking to elevate. So if you tell me in the job interview ain't no room for growth and elevation, I'm out of there.
I feel like the theme in what the stories we both share comes down to problem solving. Like if you think about all the situations, even in the entrepreneurship space, we're not telling you these things for you to be scared and prevent you from going to being an entrepreneur. We just want to paint the realistic picture that social media is definitely not painting. Like you look at this and it's like it's all glamour. I got my own schedule. I could be my own boss. But there's a lot that goes into it. And I feel like at the center of the nucleus is the problem solving. If you're not able to solve problems and look at things with an optimistic point of view, I think you're going to be paralyzed and not be able to move forward, because in most of the things that I've been able to fail fast at and recover from, it has always come from coming up with a creative solution to something that I thought couldn't be solved, right? So what tell me a story about where you've had to problem solve as you were going through this journey.
I want to share. I'm gonna answer that question, but I want to share something because the social media thing is this lifestyle.
Hit a nerve,
bro. It's at an all-time high, man.
It's horrible, man.
I want to encourage you guys. If there's a guru or a coach or somebody you looking online looking to get you into their mentorship program, it's a couple of questions you should ask them. And based off that answer, it's going to tell you everything you need to know about that person. Start with this. Do you own a home? And if they don't, see what the response why they don't own a home is, right? Next question. Ask them what their credit score is and if they can show it to you. Right? After that, ask them, hey, do you have any access or resources towards business funding? The reason those are all important, right, is because the people who really do big business really understand the importance of business credit. I'm going through building up Big Reach's business credit. I did it for another company and I was like starting from scratch, but I went through it and I know the people who play in that space, even those people that are millionaires and billionaires, they use other people's money to invest in other stuff. They don't use their own money, period. So when you're thinking about a mentor or a coach or somebody online, a guru or an expert, ask them a couple of those questions. Hey man, can I see the house you bought? What was that process like? How hard was it to go through that process of buying a home? I can guarantee you they don't. I bet they rent. Right? But what was your question? I'm sorry. When you started talking about social media, it's like triggers, man.
No, it boils right down to the problem solving aspect of things. But like I wanna hone in on that real quick. When it comes down to the gurus and all this kind of stuff, I know that at some point, in order for us to scale the things that we're both doing, we're gonna have to open up our doors to a lot more people. And in order to do that, there's specific sales models that are out there for consultants and for different firms to being able to do that. And masterminds or different communities are the way that you can impact large groups of people in a positive way. I feel like the solution still hasn't been clearly provided in a good way for
Mhm.
you to being able to tailor and address each individual person. I think a lot of people are implementing systems and they're saying, "Hey, use this blanket approach system in order to solve your problem
Yeah.
or to be able to make more money." And I think that's the wrong approach. I think in order to do it correctly, you can still open the doors to a large community by talking about fundamental things,
Yeah.
but in order for you to truly solve that problem, you'd have to tailor the approach. And I don't think anybody's really successful at that yet. And we could call some big names out, and I can tell you 10 people that didn't get a great experience. And that's the rule of thumb, right? Word of mouth marketing. If one person has a bad experience with you, 10 people are going to know about it very easily, right? So I feel like in that space, we still have a lot of room to grow, but my question was geared towards what's your thought process around problem solving, and you're starting us in that conversation, right? You don't like what you see out there.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you're now starting to think about as you go through this problem solving for the space you're in?
Yeah.
Because I know I have some things that I'm doing in my space, but I'm curious to hear about in your space around
I think
PR marketing.
the thing around this space is the reason that I'm in this space is because the space is very archaic,
Mm,
right? This PR and public, it's a reason it's been around for so long, right? You look at some of these PR firms been in business 50 plus years, right? And they still doing the same stuff.
hmm
They betting on that they've been in the business for so long that they still servicing the same clients, right? But they're not innovating. They're not changing the approach. And I'm in a space where I'm trying to disrupt that. When I got in the marketing space, I got in the marketing space because people wasn't doing marketing truly honest. They was taking money, sending out bogus reports to business owners and saying, "Yo, we doing the marketing. Here's the numbers." So I wanted to disrupt that and be transparent. When I got in the PR space, same thing. It's like, yo, if the PR agencies ain't letting you know this is a pay to play game, don't trust them. It's pay to play. Either you gonna pay me and I'm gonna do the work, or you gonna pay one way or another. So
hmm
if you hire a PR agency, don't you think that's pay to play? You're paying them to get you featured. It's pay to play. It's just like the music business. You want to get your song played on the radio, somebody's going to take your money and get you on there, right? It's the
hmm
same thing. And when people understand that, then there's this, like, let's just be transparent with what stuff is. If you see Kim Kardashian on the cover of Forbes, on the cover of GQ, a PR agency made that happen. It was not just like, oh my gosh, she's just so great. We gotta put her on this. Like a PR agency made that play. It had to make sense for Kim Kardashian to do it, right? And then it has to make sense for the publication to reach out to her. Oh man, our Kim K edition of our magazine will do the best because of who she is and her personal brand, right? But if you just, you know, Jenny from the block that nobody know, like you think you're gonna get on the cover of GQ? No, I don't care what you pay
hmm
because there's other people that's paying big money for that slot.
I think that's one of the things that allows you to start solving the problem. So you talked about disruption, the fact that you're here to kind of pull the veil back on PR, show people the reality behind it, know that it's a pay to play game, but it doesn't mean that that dilutes what you're doing. It's supposed to magnify it. Like you're not supposed to look at this thing that you got an article written about you as like this accolade, like, oh, look, I got this award for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's like, is this thing going to amplify my message, right? And I feel like as we think about that disruption that we are personally doing in the spaces that we're in, I also think about the people that are surrounded by us, right? Like there's people that you have in your network, like the Robins of this world, right? We always talk about my boy Dubai Burkes Credit, which or consulting. He had to change that name, by the way, because a lot of companies, when you go to get financing and stuff, they have specific demographic, like if for example yours says credit repair or something in the name of your business, they won't give you funding. But if it says consulting, they will. So
Well,
those are
those are banking trigger words, bro.
trigger words, those banking trigger words that
100%.
will come up. A lot of people don't talk about this stuff, and it's like we know it because of we have these conversations in our circles, but I don't feel like the internet has a lot of this information out there because the credit gurus are talking about these plays that you can do, which some of them are accounting fraud, and some of them are like things that are just a little tricky, a little gray area. So I really commend him for doing that business. I'm gonna put him up here just because I want to shout out good businesses. But he's been in the business about 2.5 years, and when it comes down to owning your own business, understanding the funding that you can get, where you can get it from, but most importantly, build your credit, y'all. Like, if you have fucked up credit, I've been there. I've had 2 repos in my life. I'm 41 years old, and I decided to really take my credit seriously about, I would say, 3-4 years ago. And it was really just because I wanted to start preparing myself for home ownership. I wanted to prepare myself to getting like better things in my life. So I decided to do the things that I needed to do, pay my bills on time, start fixing that credit so that when it came down to me, now having a full family, 2 girls and everything, in order for me to like go to that next step, I need to make sure my credit is right. It's just, it is what it is, yo. Like, you can't, what has credit done for you? Like in your space?
I'm actually
you
in the
have a
process.
home. You tick off that first question. Do you own a home? Yes, you own a home.
Yes, and I own a home because I had a good credit score.
Exactly.
So it's like, yo.
Did you ever have that credit though? Because you were a rapper though, so like.
But see, where I failed was I'm from the streets, right? So I was a rapper that cash was everything. Like, if you couldn't pay it in cash, you wasn't lit like that.
But you didn't even care about the credit.
You were just credit. So it wasn't that I had bad credit. I just didn't have any.
And it's the opposite in so many people in your space, because a lot of people that are rappers or out there, singers, artists, creative people, you don't really think about them having good credit, right? Like, it's just made bad decisions. I was one of them.
I was just under the impression it's like, yo, if you don't got the cash to pay for it, you don't need it. So I would just pay for everything. So I was never a paper trail of the stuff I owned because I never had credit. So when I was trying to understand the credit game, bro, I think my credit score was like in the 5s, bro. And it wasn't that my credit score was bad. It was just I had no history. I like a car, I go buy it cash. I want this, I go pay cash. And there was no history. I had no history of credit. And until I got older, and it's like, oh, okay, man, I need to have my credit score needs to be this because this is going to give me the best interest rate. How can I leverage credit to make sure that I can get the house one? Because now I feel safe to a lender, right? And that's when it comes back to all of that stuff that you were saying about there are trigger words that you cannot use when you're trying to secure funding or build business credit because banks flag them. You use words like real estate, forget about it. Trucking, forget about it. Insurance, forget about it. Any of these terms are considered high risk level industries that the track record for those, when you use them in your LLC or your Inc., those names are people that cannot sustain a long-term play for being able to pay the money back. And these are things that nobody talks about. You might have went to go get some business credit, but what disqualified you is you didn't have a professional email address.
Or a website.
Or a
physical address.
Right? Or a phone number separate from your house. Yeah. Exactly. All of these things, banks look at this. Think about this. If I'm going to lend you $100,000, do I feel more comfortable if I look up your business name and it's your house or it's a physical location? If you own Big Bob's Plumbing, do I feel more inclined to email you at contact@Big Bob's Plumbing or Big Bob's Plumbing 12345 @yahoo.com?
AOL. Imagine AOL.
Or AOL, right? Banks look at all of this stuff.
Yeah.
because they like, oh man. And this is what the credit game, like, people don't even go in and clean. And when I say clean your credit, I'm not even talking about clean the credit to like get the score up. I'm talking about clean the credit that the information is accurate.
Do you have the right name? Do you
Do
have the
you
right
have the
address?
right name? You
Like,
don't
oh,
want your whole job history on your credit profile. Have them remove that.
yeah.
You shouldn't have your job from when you worked at Aldi's when you was fresh out of high school still is on your credit report.
Mhm.
Because this is what, as a lender, they're looking at this. Well,
Yeah.
damn, he done been at 10 addresses in less than 5 years. I ain't loaning him nothing.
Hmm.
People profile, their credit report profile ain't even cleaned up. That's why you get denied. Start
So
there.
I want to be clear. We're not
Credit
credit
experts.
or financial experts, but this ties hand in hand with your PR and marketing, because if you can get, this is what, when we say we want to do good business, this is what we mean about good business. We don't just want to show you how to put on a costume and being able to say, okay, because we can. We've done, like, right, we've done this kind of stuff before in the past, like where it's like, yeah, we could show you how to fake the game and play it to your liking. But when you do good business and you actually do things the right way, you're taking a holistic view from PR and marketing. If you're now out there and be written about, we want to make sure that the other things are also in line, because sooner or later those things are going to come out and
Yeah.
people are going to call cap, which is at this point, I don't know if we should start a YouTube, but I know there's a YouTube that you follow a lot. What's his name?
JT the pocket watcher.
JT. Shout out to JT the Pocket Watcher, still out there, kind of debunking all these gurus, people making money out there, quick plays, or the play word in general, right? A lot of people throw this out there, but I feel like when it comes down to the things that people are talking about, no one is talking about this holistic view and bringing it together with PR and marketing, right?
Yeah.
I want to add a layer to it that I know for sure a lot of people are not talking about when it comes down to entrepreneurship, and it's, should an entrepreneur have a nonprofit? I know, guys. I know if you're watching, you're like, "Yo, Angel, you were going to share some podcasting tips." I am, but I feel like the conversation is getting to a point where we should bring this up, and then I'll share some podcasting tips with y'all. So, go ahead, B.
If you are in this space, like every time I ask people what does happiness look like, right? Everybody always gives me their version of happiness. Financial freedom, I want to be able to travel, I want to be able to do all of these things. Well, you got to put in some work to get the money to allow you to do that. Money is a resource and it's a tool. Now, how you get that money to use it as a resource, that's on you. But if you look at the people who operate at a really high level, they're not holding no secret. If you just pay attention, it's all there. Like people, if you think my personal branding journey, just like I was just this good and just made it happen, no, I copied other people. I looked at what they was doing. I looked at the Ty Lopez's and the Gary V's and the Tony Robbins and all of these guys that was operating at a really high level. And I'm like, man, what do all of these guys have in common? And I just reverse engineered it and did it for me. So I'm going to tell you, as a person that's getting involved in any of this stuff, look at what the rich people do, right? I always share this story about like follow what rich people do because they do it right in your face and nobody pays attention.
Mhm.
When I go to a hotel, Angel, how they treat me when I come to the hotel?
Hey, Mr. McQueen, how you doing?
Why?
That's, but that's a very interesting cheat code, especially when it comes down to PR marketing, because the way that you go about doing it, I don't think a lot of people know. And I'm so glad you're bringing it up in today's live, because it's all about that, like, transparency and problem solving. You know that in your personal brand, you want it to be a specific way or to look a specific way, but it takes a lot of work to get to that point. So along the way, you have to wear all the hats. And as an entrepreneur, you're going to be putting on the janitor hat, cleaning the floors, in addition to being the CEO and the founder and having all these cool conversations. Like you're gonna have to play all the roles. And I think to tell Baron's story as best as I can, he's put on every hat in his organization for him to be able to say, okay, look, I've done that, and this is what you need to do in order to like start climbing, start getting to where you want to go. But there's a thing that he does when he goes to hotels where he'll call ahead and just be like, hey, I'm Baron McQueen's assistant. I'm here just to make sure everything's taken care of. And it's just a small act, right? At first he was the one doing it for himself. And then when I came on board, I was like, I would go to the hotel, check in. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm with Mr. McQueen. And then they would treat me differently as well. So this is a funny dynamic there. But now as you've evolved and you brought on team members, now you get to show them the tricks of the trade. But what even sparked that? Did that come from like being a rapper and the fact that you had to kind of do everything for yourself, for your team?
I'm gonna be completely honest, and I probably never shared this with nobody. I was raised by a single mom, right? And I used to always ask my mom, why do white people have all the good stuff and black people don't?
Mm.
And my mom couldn't even answer that question because look where we was living.
Mm.
She didn't have an answer. I'm like, Mom, why? Like, not even like a racial conversation, but it's like, yo, why when I look at white people, like they always got the better stuff than us. And like when you see a black person have it, they're like one of like a million. And she couldn't answer that question for me. So as a kid, I always wanted the good stuff. So I used to follow rich white people, bro. I studied them. The Bilderbergs, the Rothschilds,
The
the
Rockefellers.
Rockefellers, like the Hiltons, like the Waltons. I studied rich white people because I'm like, what are they doing that we don't know? That nobody's giving us the information. There's not no like white guy coming back to the hood to share, right? And I just studied them. And this will get into the nonprofit thing, right? If you look at any business, any millionaire, any billionaire, they are always 99.9% of the time, they are always linked to a nonprofit organization. 8 out of 10 times, the nonprofit organization they link to is their own. And that's the thing that is just like, oh, okay, this is the play. This is how they're doing it. And it's just like we don't have the information. If you look at like think about some of the biggest organizations, the Red Cross, uh, St. Jude's, all of these places when you go to Walmart and they like, hey, you like to donate your extra change to look at them organizations and the people that donate to those organizations be like the big numbers, they be in the top percentiles, bro. So I'm like, oh, this is how they do it. Like, yo, if I'm rich and I'm trying to avoid a tax bill, what do you think these rich people do?
I just wanted to pull that up as you were talking because I literally put in like, how many nonprofits are, in the US. And it just goes to show you that in 2022, there were nearly 1.5 million 501c3 nonprofits. So it's continuing to grow year over year. It looks like it took a little dip between 2010 and 2015. But then, ever since then, it's just been on a constant increase.
Yeah.
But if you look at this, like a lot of people don't know this too, and it's that there's different classifications for nonprofits.
100%.
So like there's charitable religious organizations, social welfare organizations, business leagues. Business leagues can be nonprofits. This is why when we go in down the rabbit hole of the what's it called, the Rooter clubs, what are those clubs called?
Rotary Club,
Rotary clubs,
mm-hmm.
and chambers of commerce and all that stuff. As we go down those rabbit holes, it leads right back to nonprofits. A lot of these groups and organizations that you want to be a part of, and you want to maybe as a speaker, as a business owner, or whatever, you want to be a part of these organizations. They're all really nonprofits. That's how they are.
I'm gonna share something with people. Rolex is a nonprofit.
Oh yeah, there's a whole thing going around They were saying how many like IKEA, right, was a nonprofit.
Just think about this, right? Think about like the big people, the Red Cross. Goodwill is a nonprofit. The YMCA is a nonprofit. Salvation Army is a nonprofit. You got like the UNICEFs and the Boys and Girls Clubs. They've been around for how long? The American Heart Association. Like, just think about that. But then think about the people that you like. Man, how is Rolex, one of the most premier luxury items, a nonprofit? Well, it's true.
It's right here. I mean, a lot of people they call it cap. They're like, man, you're falling trap into all this viral video content. Nah, man, Google's out there. Like we're in an age. This is an amazing time to be alive because anything we say, you can Google it. Like we're not here being gurus saying you only got to listen to us. We got the sauce. The sauce is on the internet. So I just put in like, is IKEA a nonprofit? How do they make money? So this website actually breaks it down. Oh, let me, because they want me to be a member. Let me clear that. So it even states here, IKEA is one of the world's largest privately held companies and has been the world's largest furniture retailer since 2008. The complicated corporate structure of IKEA allows for its parent company, a nonprofit or foundation, to minimize its taxes.
Just what I just told them. You think fucking people with money want to pay the IRS? No. They need something that's going to wipe that tax bill out. And there's nothing better than to give and be some kind of philanthropic. What the hell did I use that word?
Philanthropic. Yeah.
Y'all know what I mean. Philanthropy, right? That's what they do.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you Google what's Warren Buffett's nonprofit, I'm sure he got a nonprofit. I'm sure LeBron James got a nonprofit, and Diddy and Beyonce. I bet they all linked to nonprofits. You Googling it?
Yeah. I mean, we're live. Why not? It's the Buffett Foundation.
Why does he have a Buffett Foundation, right? Because he got other rich.
1964, bro.
And he worth billions.
Oh, it was renamed the Susan Thompson Buffett Foundation in honor of his wife, Susan Buffett, who died in 2004.
There you go. She ain't even here no more, and they still making millions through a nonprofit.
$55 billion they've given.
You see that?
That's a lot.
So what you think a Warren Buffett Foundation event looks like?
Mm-hmm.
The elite people that's willing to donate $55 million to it. Come on, man. Follow the right people, man.
If you're sitting here saying like, yo, like, I don't get it, well, Google it, learn it. Invest some time in learning it. Invest some time in reverse engineering some of the people that you feel are in your space that are doing really well, doing good business, not like these plays or whatever. Research those people because typically if they're doing good business and they're out there, the information is going to be public. Like it's not going to be something that's hidden only to that company. You're going to be able to see exactly what steps they took. It just takes a little bit of while to do the research. And at the end of the day, if you want to really find out, start a podcast, invite them on your show and ask them the question yourself. Because honestly, the podcast space is growing. And I keep saying this, in the next 5 years, it's going to be growing billions and billions of dollars. So whether you think that you're too small of a podcast to invite people that you look up to, I'm here to tell you you're wrong. I've seen it. I've literally seen it, owning a podcast studio, having podcasts start from zero, inviting people that they look up to, and they'll more than gladly want to come on your show because it's an easy way to create content, right? We talk about it all the time. You're not a podcaster, but you understand the value of podcasting. What has podcasting done for your brand, B? Like, you know, not just, you know what? This question, I want to target it because we always ask it. What's the difference? And I'm not going to put shade out there for the other places because I'm a firm believer that every studio can thrive. But what's the difference of you doing your podcasting experience outside of Collab and now inside of Collab? Like, what's that been like? I want to hear that first hand review from you.
All right. So to be honest, it's difficult because it's moving parts, right? So Shout out to my guy Gene Civil from Creative Media who was doing my first couple episodes. It's tough, right? The reason we was able to be efficient is because I was busting my ass behind the scenes, right? Gene was shooting it and I was editing it. So after Gene shot it, he was just giving me the raw files, like, hey, Baron, see you in the next one, right? Because for me to sustain this, I gotta keep Gene's costs low. If I know Gene charged me $150 to record the podcast, right? But then I got rent out Vision House Studios too. On top of that, well, now it's just like, okay, do I have the money to sustain a podcast that's going to cost me $500 every episode? How many episodes am I going to get to a point where I'm like, yo, I need this thing to make money, or it don't make sense to keep just throwing $500 out. So the fact that I can go into a space like Collab and not have to worry about all the other stuff, it's just like, oh, okay, that's one less thing I gotta do to get the episode out. I don't have to edit it. I don't have to chop it. Cool, because that's its own beast. Just editing, chopping, color grading. What else you gotta do? Lower third, like it's a nightmare. And it was just like I can't even. I'm so exhausted by the time I edit an episode. I'm just like, oh, just put it out. And I never go back and watch it again because I've been going through the process. So I see how people can't sustain it, and I think that's one thing that Code Lab does a good job at is like giving you the opportunity to actually sustain it. That you can do more episodes if you maybe only spending $150, $200 a month. That's literally gonna get you one episode a month, but that might be doable for somebody. That might be all they can do. But would you spend $200 a month on your podcast, or would you spend $500 a month? So I was like, yo.
And the thing is that when you partnered up with us, like we met through the DM, so it was not like we had a long-standing relationship. Like we connected, we saw eye to eye, and we're like, okay, like let's work together, let's collaborate. But not only that, but through that collaboration came a full ecosystem for developing podcasts. Yeah. So we've developed podcasts from zero to make them money within 30 days. That's what makes us not just like we're experienced in the field, but we're also willing to learn new things and see what the marketplace is saying about how podcasts can make money. Mm-hmm. I know that for you in your specific scenario, you've been building your show to be more curated, more tailored, where you go out and do the outreach and have specific people come on your show. Yeah. But throughout that process, you've developed ways of making money back to be able to like offset costs. So one of the things that I always talk about is merch. You don't specifically have merch, but you do have a newsletter and you do have a platform they use through, what's it called? Violet?
Yes,
Ultraviolet, which is a membership platform where people can subscribe to that and they receive that email newsletter. They receive that one-on-one chat experience with you, but you're able to send them these episodes out so that they can experience the value that you're adding, right? Yeah. And if you're adding that much value on all of your platforms, they can only imagine what happens when the circle completes and they get all your services that you offer from PR and marketing standpoint. But our partnership is very unique because no other studio does the talent development that we do. Yeah, we allow you to come in, use the space, record it, be efficient, get you your show within 24 to 48 hours. We have editors and all that good stuff to make the process convenient. Yeah. But we also allow you to develop and grow. So when you do want to go through these different ways of making money for your show, we can plug you right into the Big Reach system, right? Big Reach PR has clients that want to run ads on different platforms, or they want to be showcased on different platforms so that their audience can, or their message could be heard louder. And I feel like what better way than develop an ecosystem where we can develop podcasts, see them grow from zero, start to make money, and then plug them right into your client base that wants to be put on other platforms. Yeah. Like how beautiful is that? Yeah. That we get to complete the circle for someone, right?
I mean, I think for me it helped because like people who come on my show, they like, oh man, this is lit.
Like they like the experience, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I can come in, I could get some water, I might get some alcohol sponsors, I might get some chips. It's a vibe. I don't gotta worry about nothing. If I need to give somebody at Collab my phone to get some behind the scenes, they're not looking at me crazy, like I don't work for you. We just give the hospitality aspect of like, yo, we trying to create an experience, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that that they don't understand in any business you're in the hospitality industry and you have to treat it as such. You got to make yourself stand out, like whether it's the snacks you keep, the drinks you have, the cookies you bake, the fruit you, whatever it is, you have to have something that people are looking forward to that you do and you execute every time. So when they come there, they can tell everybody, yo, when you go to Collab, yo, make sure you get those. You know what I mean? That tea, or make sure you get you a little shot of colada, whatever the case may be. You have
Yeah.
to create those memorable experiences.
So when it comes down to making the podcast generate money from your point of view, and I'm going to share mine and give some tips and stuff. What do you feel is a good step that someone can take to start generating some money? We both know people that have created shows that have gone 30 episodes deep and not made any money. So, what do you think someone can do if they were your client to be able to?
Let's be very transparent. I'm 57 episodes in and haven't made a penny from my podcast.
Mhm.
I had a goal of I just wanted to get to 50 episodes before I even started to go down this. All right, what's some ways that I can do from a strategic standpoint of how can I do some partnerships now? Because now I did the reps. I got 50 episodes under my belt. Now I can go after sponsorship opportunities, and now I got some data and some numbers I can give people. But I haven't made a penny from my podcast because I'm not playing the short game. I'm not paying the like, yo, you give me $500, man. I'll put your candy bars on the front of the coffee table on my episode. It's like, nah. We started just getting people started sending liquor and we start trying them out. And I'm in a position now where I can go out and get these strategic partnerships. Now, I would be lying actually now that I actually kind of recant that a little bit because of my podcast. My YouTube channel got monetized faster,
There you go.
right? I'm making about $75 a month from YouTube.
That's a big deal. A lot of
75.
people a lot of people don't understand how big of a deal that is because YouTube is taking 45% cut of any money they make. So if you add 45% to what you've just said, that's how much you really made. And then they took out the 45% and gave it to you.
Got it. Okay.
So think about that for a second, right? So I know that you haven't made direct money from it, but
Yeah.
it's been a marketing expense for you. So
Correct.
instead of you running ads, instead of you doing all these things that maybe yield a low conversion, you know that in podcasting, you're able to still tell your story. You're able to talk to different businesses and connect them. I even see you in some shows. I've seen you do a social media audit. So there's a lot of things, a lot of benefits that come from it, even though it didn't lead directly into monetary value. It's definitely in the long run
Yeah.
going to pay
What I should do is I should go back through every episode and see what that episode yielded as far as money and something else, and then come up with a number and say, oh, from having this guy on my podcast, I'm now getting passive income. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, you've been getting passive income in many ways, but the
But that
idea
came
is,
from podcasting.
but that's the idea is that you're investing in something that eventually is going to get to a point where you get that passive income.
Yeah.
So these videos that you've made, even though right now they're not monetized, when you do get into full monetization and you start to generate the higher numbers, those older videos that have lower view counts are going to start to be the things that people consume, which then in turn you're going to start getting some money. But I feel like there's always an opportunity to optimize the content that you make. And because it lives on the internet for forever until you take it down, the idea is that you can go back in, tweak, and adjust as you learn and see what things you can implement, right? There's some people that change the description and put affiliate links inside the description. There's people that maybe put some merch and enable the merch. Once you get monetization, I don't know if you've seen this on your account, you're able to enable merch to show up under your videos. And YouTube actually has a print on demand provider that can do that stuff for you. That includes digital media, even books. So for my dad's videos, I've implemented it so that all his books show up under his videos and people can buy them, and those are digital forms that they can make money from. So when it comes down to making money from your shows, you can think outside the box, or you could partner with systems that are already on these platforms. So YouTube has a monetization process, TikTok has a monetization, Instagram, all of these platforms have different things that you can implement very easily into. But if you're the one sitting in behind this video and you're watching us and you're like, Angel, I know you shared last week that if I'm not confident in front of the camera that I can do audio only, even audio gets monetization. And I'm here to tell you, audio conversion on ads is higher paid than video conversion on ads. Like, I don't think people really understand that you can make more money on audio only than you could do on just video only. It's good for you to have both, because if you have both, you're double dipping, you're in two marketplaces. But the idea is you can make money off of audio only. And you're probably asking, Angel, get to the point, where can I make money on audio only? Well, it's our friends at Spotify. Anchor in 2021 started enabling for you to add ad units to your shows, but you're going to have to split up your show so that the ads play at specific times in the audio. Have you done that kind of stuff for Anchor yet?
Or you just I'm gonna nothing against Spotify.
Go.
My podcast is run through Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has a partnership with a company called Podcorn.
That's a good one.
And Podcorn, if you have a Buzzsprout account, Podcorn has sponsorship opportunities built right into Buzzsprout. And you can basically go in there and pitch your show to all of these people for what they're looking for. They might just want a pre-roll or a mid-roll in between your show of an ad, or some of them actually want the owner to come on your show as a guest, and they'll put their budget that they have right there. And you can pitch your podcast almost like a proposal right through the Buzzsprout app through Podcorn. So I haven't done it. Now that I'm at 50 episodes, maybe I'll go back in and actually start doing some pitching and see if it might be worth it, right? So I spend $11 a month using Buzzsprout. And Podcorn, man, you can go in there and it's just businesses and brands in there like, hey, we want to run an ad halfway through your show, a pre-roll, a mid-roll, a post-roll, or a review right on your show. And they'll tell you everything they're looking for, and you can pitch your podcast right through the program. But they're linked to Buzzsprout. So in your Buzzsprout account, you got kind of almost like preferred treatment when you do it through Buzzsprout.
Well, there's a lot of benefits to the features that Buzzsprout offers, and a lot of the other third-party distributors, right?
Yeah.
What these things are, like, if you can think about them, Spotify, which is Acorn, all Podcorn, all the other platforms, they're distributors. They're distributing your content to all the other platforms, but then they have something built in for you to be able to make money off of it. The Spotify one is just a free one. So for those of you who are like, yo, I don't want to pay for Buzzsprout, blah, 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 no excuses. Spotify offers it for free. You can go there. It's not like you're going to replace your monthly check from your 9 to 5 with this kind of stuff, but it's about monetization. Know your numbers. Start to convert. Start to make the investments that you're making in your personal brand, whether it's through podcasting or through going to events or writing articles. Start to convert those into monetization, because at the end of the day, what you want to strive for is that passive income. And how good does it feel, B, to get some passive income? I know lately you've been You've been receiving the fruits.
Man, it feels good when Angel sends me a little screenshot of him sending me some Zelle money. It's a great feeling. You know, it comes at a time where I was probably just yelling at somebody about some money, and the Angel just blessed me with a ching on my phone. I'm like, you know what? It lightened the mood. Now I'm not about to cuss this person out as much because something just covered their costs right now. So
Well,
it's good
but
though.
that's what I talk about. That's why I talk about good business, man. A lot of people feel like business is a cutthroat thing, which it can be cutthroat. That you have to climb on others for you to get to the top. Like I know all the analogies that people put out there, but you and me, the reason we connect the most is because of our integrity, our ethics, and our values. And I tell everybody that comes on board to help at Collab, like if you bring in the work, you put in the work. I don't want the whole cake. I'm not here to be greedy and all that kind of stuff. If I can cover the studio's costs, I can have a little money on the side to cover some of my stuff. I'll be more than happy to split up the check and send it out. I need everyone to be paid because at the end of the day, I'm not just doing this for myself. I'm doing this for others, and I feel like you agree with that. With Big Reach, you're doing not for yourself, you're doing it for others. Yes, you do want to be able to work remotely. That's one of your ultimate goals. But the idea is that you want to help other people achieve their dreams, through their branding and all that stuff. So we went a little past the hour, but I feel like we got a lot of good conversation today. For those of you that stuck around, I feel like someone's watching from my Twitter, which is amazing. Thank you for checking me out from X. My bad, it's not Twitter anymore. I added Twitter to the distribution list here. So whoever's watching from my X account, welcome to the Wednesday Lives. We hope you got some value. Rewind, you can see some more mental state stuff. We did go over some PR and branding, entrepreneurship. We went over all sorts of good stuff. B, what can we end it on this week?
What I need you guys to understand is we wrapping up another year, right? 2024 is knocking at the door.
This is the last live of 2023.
This is it, bro.
This
So
is the last live of 2023. Wow.
I need you to understand, like, 2023 was by far my best and worst year.
Mm-hmm.
Best of clarity, focus,
Team building.
worst team building, worst financially, worst year I've had. But when it comes to like going into this new year, these years is flying by. So if you look at all the stuff you said you was going to do in 2023, and 2024 is next week, don't be at 2025 and that list still look the same. Write that list down of all that stuff you didn't do this year and put that at the top of your list to get all of it done in January of this year so you can move on and get to the 2025 stuff.
You got to check stuff off your list. Okay, we don't just go off. We do go off the top of the dome, but we're trying to stay organized for you guys to have added value in these things. I love that, B. Don't go into 2024 with the same old list. Look at your list again. Check some things off. Count your wins. Don't just count the losses. You're going to be in a very negative state of mind. Walk into 2024 with that new optimistic point of view. Everybody can get it. We're in a world of abundance, bro. Like, this is amazing. It's a great time to be alive. With that being said, that is the end of this Wednesday's live. We hope to see you next week. If you like my solo videos, I might put them out on another day. B, what do you recommend if we start doing solo videos? What day we can put them out? Maybe like a Monday? Mondays, because people hate Mondays.
The thing is, bro, there's no rhyme or reason.
We just do it.
We could do another live tomorrow, and it's like, so
you love it.
There's no madness, no method to the madness.
To the madness, right? We just do what we do. All right, y'all. We will see y'all next week. Thank y'all so much. Happy 2023, and let's go into 2024 with that new mindset, right? Peace. And like always, stay frozen. Oh.